Or congruent angles. Congruent meaning same shape, same size. And then angles look like this. It has a vertex and then two rays coming out from that vertex. Congruent angles have the same degree measure. But just note that when we're talking about congruent angles, we're just talking about the opening of the angle. These rays go on and on forever and ever. So the length of them doesn't really matter. One could have rays this length and the other could have rays that are this length. These arrows mean they go on forever. So it's not the length of the rays that needs to be congruent. It's just the opening of the angle. So keep that in mind. Okay, so for this construction, we're going to follow these instructions again. This is a little tiny to work with. So we're going to start our first construction actually right here. And so we're making an angle congruent to this one over here. So we're making the same angle right over here. So these steps, first step, draw a ray. So we're going to draw this bottom ray using our straight edge. So just a ray. It needs to be at least that length, but it doesn't really matter what the length is, just at least that length. And then put endpoint D. So we drew the ray and labeled the endpoint D. We got the ray down. Okay. Next, we're going to place the compass on point A and draw an arc through both of these rays. So it needs to be a length that'll cross both of those rays. If it's too big, it won't intersect with the rays, and that doesn't work. So we need to, it doesn't matter what the opening is, it just has to cross through both rays. And then once you make that, you're immediately going to put it on D and make that same arc with that same measure. So it needs to kind of be stiff so it'll keep the measurement. So we're going to do A, we'll do an arc that passes through both rays like that, and then immediately go to D, and using the same measurement, make that same arc, kind of exaggerate it just so it's long enough, like that. Okay, so we put it on A, we chose a random measurement that would cross both rays, we made that arc, and then immediately put it on D and made that same arc. I will explain it one more time. So you put it on A, you make sure that it's a measurement that'll pass through both rays, you make an arc, and then using the same measurement, put it on D and make that same arc. Then once you have your two arcs here, we're going to label this point B and point C. And then this intersection is point E. When you see constructions on testing, you won't always see the intersections labeled with points. The points are really good when you're when I'm giving instructions, so I can say, put this on point B. I already have the points labeled. Okay, so the next step is to measure from B to C. So we'll put the pointer on B and then the pencil on C and just adjust it to the same opening. Put it on C and make a mark on point C like this. So adjust it to that same length. Put a mark on C. Remember, if it's hard to adjust, just tighten or loosen the screw. And then using that same measurement, we go to E and make that same mark. Mine just slid. If that happens to you, it's normal. We're trying our best here. Put it on C, maybe even tighten it. Put it on E, same mark. Explain one more time in case you missed it. I measured from B to C, made a mark, put it on E, same mark. This intersection is point F. Then I'm going to connect D to F. And there is our congruent angle. So we can say that angle CAB, when you name an angle, make sure to name the letters in order, and the middle letter has to be the vertex, which would be point A, is congruent to angle FDE. So remember, we're not worried about the length of the rays because those go on forever. It's just the opening of the angle is the same. Yes. Yes, go ahead. Is it something I can fix, or is it just...
Yeah, it's just kind of dull.
Oh, okay. Yeah, if it's dull, try to work with it, because honestly, they're all kind of dull. And dull means it's not going to break, so that's good in a sense. Okay. Then the next one. Are you ready for the next one, or you want me to wait a second? I want to work through the steps from the beginning again. Okay, so for number 2, start with drawing the bottom ray with your straight edge, labeling this endpoint D. Then put the compass on point A, and you're making an arc that goes through both rays. You might need to make it a little bit smaller if it doesn't pass through. And then immediately after you make that arc, put your pointy part on D and make the same exact arc with the same exact measurement. Make sure to exaggerate your arc so it's long enough. And then label your intersection. Okay, so put it on A, I made a arc. Using the same measurement, I put it on D and made an arc. Going to label this point B and C, and this intersection E. The next step is to measure from B to C. So I make it the same length there, and I make a mark on C. And then immediately put it on E and make the same mark. So I measured from B to C, made this the same distance, then I put it on E and made it the same. And then this point is point F. And the last step is to connect D to F. You can say that angle CAB is congruent to angle FDE. I'm going to come around to make sure that everybody has got it done. What I want you to do for the rest of class is actually go on to Alex and do this assignment. It's on your weekly assignments. You may have noticed it. Now that you know these steps, we can do it on Alex, and I'll teach you how to do it because it can be a little bit tricky. So you're going to go to Alex. You're going to do the constructing congruent line segments one first because it's less steps and you can kind of get the hang of the tools. And then after that, you're going to do constructing congruent angle. So once you're done with this, then go to the laptop and log on to Alex and start those assignments.